Hi everybody, Joe here from SHUTTERSPEAK Photography. Very nice to see your smiling faces again here on YouTube. How do I know you're smiling? Well, because you left your webcam on again. So anyway, I have been shooting for the past few days with the Nikon 24-200 f4 to 6.3 lens. This lens is $8.99 from Nikon, but right now, as of today, there is a $100 rebate, bringing it down to $7.99, which is a fantastic bargain for such a versatile lens. So I'm going to show you some samples of pictures that I've been taking with it over the past few days. I'll tell you what's good, I'll tell you what I liked, and I'll tell you the things that I thought could have been better. But before we get started with that, I'd like to say thanks for watching, and if, as always, anything in this video helps you out, please help me out by hitting the subscribe button and ring the bell so you get notified of future updates to this channel. So let's get started. So here we have a side-by-side comparison of the Nikon 24-200 f4 to 6.3 Nikon Z lens versus its bigger brother, if you will, the 70-200 f2.8 S series for Nikon Z cameras lens. So the 24-200 and the 70-200 both have vibration reduction. The 24-200 comes in at 570 grams and it's 4.5 inches in length. The 70-200 S series lens comes in at 1,360 grams, so more than twice the weight of the 24-200, and is 8.7 inches in length, so it's not completely double, but just about double. They both have control rings on them, which are programmable. They're both sealed for dust and moisture, but of course the bigger brother, the 70-200, does have function buttons. It has two function buttons on the side. It has that display screen up on the top. Now, one of the things that I was a little disappointed about with the 24-200, it is f4, but it's only f4 at the 24mm focal range. I would have liked to have seen it remain at that constant f4 aperture like the 24-70, so all the way from 24-70 and then ramp up. Unfortunately, it does not do that. It only has f4 aperture at 24, and it starts to ramp up as you extend the zoom ring. The aperture is going to ramp up all the way to f6.3 at the 200mm end. So there's a side-by-side comparison of the two, and now let's take a look at some of the images from the 24-200, and I'll tell you things that I really did like and enjoy when I was shooting with this 24-200 lens. Okay, so we're here in Lightroom, and we're going to take a look at some images shot on the 24-200. So we took it out to the Bronx Zoo and shot some photos, and the first one that we're looking at is shot at 24mm, and you can see that it really allows you to shoot a really nice image. Now, typically if I had gone to the Bronx Zoo, I would have had my 70-200 on the camera body, and there's no way I'm getting this shot. This would have required a lens change. You can see it's f4 and it's ISO 4000. Just a disclaimer, all these images are edited in Lightroom. And why are they edited in Lightroom? Because they were shot in RAW. RAW images are designed to be flat, so there is no color correction, contrast, clarity, or anything like that applied to those images, and they're not representative of the final product. So I felt like, to show you fairly what this lens can actually do, I wanted you to see what the final product would be. So again, this is another image that was taken. It's at 155mm. Now you can see at 155mm we're already at f6.3. Now that is one of the things that did disappoint me. I would have liked to have seen the f-stop stay a little bit lower, especially at the lower focal ranges, although 155 is pretty high up there. But nonetheless, it's a beautiful shot. We got great color reproduction, vivid colors. It's sharp, it's in focus, and we got some nice blur in the background there. Next up we have our giraffe. Now this is again taken at 200 at f6.3, ISO 200, and again a nice crisp, clean, sharp image. We want to take a look at this in a 1-to-1 zoom. You can see just how crisp and clear this image actually is. So in terms of quality coming out of this lens, the quality is really nothing short of what we'd expect from any Z series lens, and that's just top-notch. And let's take a quick look at him. This is a 1-to-1 zoom, and we can see the sharpness. I mean, look at this edge here. It's absolutely phenomenal. So I mean, this is something that you really couldn't be happier with. Now again, this is shot at 200mm. Now we step away from the giraffes, and there's this peacock sitting on the bench right there, right at the area where we're looking at the giraffes. And you see, now again, this is a shot you're not getting if you have the 70 to 200 on. Again, this is shot now at 35mm, so I'm able to swing that back out of 200mm right down to 35. Again, it's shot at f5.6, a little disappointing. I would have liked to have seen that stay at f4, but that's okay. Again, nice color reproduction, and we're getting a shot that we would have never gotten with that 70 to 200 on there. We would have just had to be back too far, and it just wouldn't have been possible. So having that versatility in a situation like this is amazing. So you're not swapping out camera lenses. And then right over here we're at 34.5mm, f4.8, and again you can see the sharpness in that image and all the crispness of the textures, and nice color reproduction, and it is just a really nice image. And again, we got some bokeh in the background. It's not what we would have gotten at f2.8 certainly, but again we were at 34.5mm, and with the 70 to 200 again, you weren't going to get this image. We would have had to step back too far. People would have gotten in front of us. It just wouldn't have probably happened. Now here we are at 125mm. Now one of the things that's important about this image is that there's actually a screen up in front of this bird, so we can kind of see it in this area of the image. But the shallowness of the depth of field with the bokeh, even though we're at f6.3, virtually eliminates it, and we're able to get a nice sharp image of this bird, which is nice. And if I hadn't told you there was a screen up, you probably wouldn't have known. Here we are at 125mm at f6.3, and now again we're in a dark area, and we're up to ISO 36,000, but this lens and of course the Nikon Z still holds up. I mean, we do see color noise. There is a lot of color noise in this image due to the high ISO, but that's nothing we couldn't correct in Lightroom or with a plugin like Topaz denoise or something along those lines. And of course that's not really fault of the lens, that's just limitations of the camera. Here we have our zebra, 200mm, and again everything looking nice and sharp here. And again we have a real nice sharp image of our zebra. Now this was edited up in Photoshop, but I just wanted to show you a black and white, and again shot at 200mm, and you can see the bokeh in the background is just really nice and dreamy. Not what you would have gotten with the f2.8, but still really great quality there. Here's again one of our birds shot at 200mm at f6.3, and again another thing that I want to show you here is the shallowness of the depth of field. Now I'm going to point this out, and you can let me know in the comments if you would have even known this was there had I not pointed it out. So you can see going across here, going across here, going across here, there are lines. There was a net up in front of this bird, but because of the shallow depth of field, it has blurred it out to a point where you wouldn't even know it existed unless I showed it to you, and at least I'm hoping that you wouldn't have known it existed unless I had showed it to you. But so the shallowness of the depth of field, even at f6.3, really holds out here, and just you can see the background's nice and soft and blurred out, and again this is just a really great testament to the quality of an image that you can get with this lens. Now Would the f2.8 70 to 200 have done an even better job? Yeah, I believe it definitely would have. But again, you know, for the versatility that you have in this type of shooting situation, I think that, you know, this is just a phenomenal everyday walking around lens. So you're walking around at the zoo all day. It's light. It's convenient. You're not switching lenses constantly. It's just a great lens for walking around. And then you'll see in the next image, now we're pulled back to 24 millimeter, just like that. And again, we're getting a nice image. Now again, you know, is the bokeh in the background fantastic? It's okay. But, you know, again, it's an image we didn't have to change the lens for. And now we're back to 200 millimeter, just like that. And we're taking pictures of seals. Again, bokeh in the background is okay. It's passable. You know, and again, it just took some real nice clean images here. I mean, you can see the texture on these little guys here. I believe we probably focused on this one, but just real nice images. And now another example I wanted to show you of the shallow depth of field. Again, you can see the lines coming across on this this little calf. This is a bison, American bison, obviously just born, and you see the lines here. Again, this is just the fencing that was keeping them in their little area, so they're safe and easily removed in Photoshop, just like that, and you have a great image. So you can see before, after, and you know, just a couple of minutes in Photoshop. And then here, this is an image taken with just a quick high-pass filter for sharpness in Photoshop, just to see what that looks like. So you have the sharpness here and the bokeh over in this area. Here is another image just giving us an idea of what we can accomplish in terms of depth of field. So we had a tremendous amount of distance in the background here. So 200 millimeter, and you can see a super soft, dreamy soft background there in terms of bokeh. So that also fantastic. Would meet, beat, or exceed my expectations for this lens. And same thing here. Again, in this situation, the background's a little bit closer. I shot at 35 millimeter at f4.8. Again, probably the 70 to 200 if we had the range to get back further, and we certainly would have in this situation. To get the shot, we probably would have had a little nicer, softer background at f2.8. But again, this is at 35 millimeter. It doesn't require a lens change, so that's real nice. And here's another one at 55 millimeter. And again, at 55 millimeter, you see we're already up to f5.6. But that's the trade-off with this lens. But at f5.6, again, 55 millimeter, we still have a pretty nice soft background. And take a look at the one-to-one zoom. You can see the sharpness in the image here, the shallowness of the depth of field here and back here, and then how super soft it gets all the way in the background. So in terms of who this lens is for, this is a great lens if you're doing any kind of work that's, you know, just for your family, walking around at an event all day with your family. You've gone to the zoo, your family picnic, barbecue, birthday party, whatever type of event it is that you're going, that you just want a nice walk around all day lens. Family vacation, this lens is absolutely perfect for. Would I recommend it for paid client work? No. If it's paid client work, I'm going to tell you in my recommendation, you better be taking your f2.8 lenses out with you for client work. If somebody's paying you to do work, this is not the proper lens. But could it serve as a backup lens in your bag? Yes. If you have your 24 to 70 f2.8 and your 70 to 200 f2.8, and for some reason something happened to one of those lenses and they went down, is this a backup lens that covers that entire focal length? Yes, it is. Is this a phenomenal lens for anyone who's not doing paid work? Yes, absolutely. I would highly recommend this lens for anyone who's not out there doing paid work. Again, you know, you're on a family vacation. Would I take this lens with me on a family vacation? Absolutely. Yes, and I will, absolutely. Would I be purchasing this lens? Yes, I definitely will be purchasing this lens. I think it's a phenomenal value for the money, and I think that Again, Nikon has hit a home run in terms of another fantastic Nikon Z series lens. So there you have it. I hope this is helpful to you, and I hope it helps you make a good purchase decision. Okay, so there you have it. I hope you find this video has been helpful. If you did, please hit the like button and don't forget to subscribe and ring the bell. Leave me a comment. Let me know what you think about this lens. Do you think this is something that you would pick up to add to your kit? Right now, like I said, there's a $100 rebate, bringing it down to just $7.99, which is just nothing short of a fantastic deal for this lens. Down below in the description box, you'll find links to Adorama and Amazon where you can check this out. And of course, if you do, click on one of those links. It does help support the channel, and of course, it doesn't cost you any extra. So thanks for that if you do. And I appreciate you watching this as always. And I'll see you next time, YouTube. Thanks. Bye-bye.